I knew Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door would be a very difficult game to tackle under a self-imposed challenge, but difficult doesn't mean impossible. What if we took it up to the next level by not allowing Mario to use any of his trinkets? This is Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door without pausing. Now, when you think about a no pausing challenge, you would think of being unable to access any of the menus, and that concept is a thing. Normally, a no pausing challenge would be a stroll in the park, and it'll be over before you know it. But with Paper Mario, that's not the case at all. This challenge was extremely hardcore and took me over 20 in-game hours to route out everything perfectly. The rules for this challenge are as follows. We are not allowed to open any of the menus using the plus, minus, or D-pad buttons, and to make things even more interesting, the L button, which opens the partner ring, is not allowed either. This will make the course of the challenge a bit more interesting, especially when it comes to late game. I will be only focusing on the main story, but if the series does really well, I will consider returning to the challenge and aim to achieve 100% completion. We are allowed to use the Switch's home menu button because it does not affect the game in any given way. Now that everything is explained, off we go. Upon arriving in Rogueport Harbor, I go ahead and hit the very first save block and then... The game language is now Japanese. During my routing for the Pauseless challenge, I decided to alternate between English and Japanese throughout the run because I felt comfortable with the text speed, given that I do not own the GameCube version of Thousand Year Door. I will have a document linking to all the times I transition between game languages in the description if you are curious. For more context, I follow a very specific route throughout the prologue. The difficulty doesn't necessarily kick up much during the run, as there is no need to use any of our menus and we don't get the partner ring until after we meet Koops, which will be in the next episode where we play through Chapter 1. Also, I push the home button a lot throughout this video, because I use a controller that contains a turbo button allowing me to automate button mashing so there won't be clicking noises for 90% of the video. Sometimes I end up automating multiple buttons and the home button turns off every button's auto mashing. I won't always be doing this, but I found this convenient. The first thing I do once I go to Rogueport Central is break Zest's contact lens. This will allow us to access the west part of town to be able to get everything ready to go for Chapter 3 as soon as when we get Chapter 1 done. I order the contact lens and then get my coins, which are taken when I go to the east part of town, and then I go to Professor Frankly's house to continue the story. Here, Frankly will ask me if I want to train with Goombella and action commands. I mash B to be able to skip this since there is no point in doing so. Speaking of which, one thing I need to cover is multiple choice prompts. Multiple choice prompts are obviously important due to needing to read them, but this prompt along with the prompt that shows up after the 1000-year door cutscene just require mashing B to get through. The next thing to address is Goomba Trio Skip. I talked about this skip a little bit in my Pacifist Challenge video, and I stated I was not able to properly execute it, but there is a way to get to from in front of the gate to the moving platform in a single jump. Apparently there is an invisible barrier preventing this from being possible, as far as I know, but I was able to perform this jump perfectly after defeating the Goomba Trio. No idea why, but for now we're fighting them and then going to the 1,000-year door. Professor frankly decides to be nice and give us a Power Smash badge after we're all good to go to make our way into Chapter 1, but we aren't able to use it because Mario is unable to access his pockets. Sorry, frankly. Anyways, once we get that taken care of, the first thing I do is stock up on fire flowers to defeat the big blooper, and head down the sewers and take him on so we can get ready for Chapter 1. Stocking up is important, as once we get into Chapter 1, beating Hooktail without being able to make frog noises will require a lot of not just fire flowers, but also POW blocks. A lot of my fire flowers end up being used in the big blooper fight, so we will be buying more, but from the Petalburg shop in the next episode, as they are cheaper. Speaking of which, there is a vital item we will need to collect called the Strange Sack. It allows you to hold 20 items in your inventory instead of 15. During my routing, I had the thought of getting it before beating Hooktail. Turns out Hooktail doesn't even require more than 15 fire flowers and POW blocks to be defeated. We can defeat her without it. Where is the Strange Sack anyways, you ask? The Pit of 100 Trials. Thankfully, we don't have to go through the entire pit, as it's in the chest in room 50. We will not be getting it until after Chapter 4 though, once we have more partners and Crystal Star moves, as it is possible to get there before defeating Hooktail by utilizing the movers that allow us to skip floors and go a little bit faster and use super guards for the tougher enemies. But I am not joking when I say this. I tested it and it took me over 3 hours to get from room 1 to room 50, including the time needed to restock items. We are simply far too underpowered to stand a chance, even though dying anywhere in the pit basically doesn't matter, since you can retry the room you failed instead of starting over. For now, we'll be going on without it. With the defeat of Big Blooper, the prologue is officially finished. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe so as not to miss out on more TTYD content. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.